Hello, my name is Brayden, and this is the Motorboard channel, where I plan to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. And, well, more specifically, I am starting a series about my homebrew D&D classes that I've made, and honestly, I've just wanted to share these out to other people besides my small group of friends, as I really want to make these classes better than they already are. Now, first to get started into the class that we're talking about today, as you already seen in the title and thumbnail, um, but let me just give a little background as to why I made the class I did. Now, have you ever played a fantasy game, or generally any game with a class system? If so, many games take up many of the same few classes. Now, there's one in particular that I find more enjoyable than the rest, and it's, in my opinion, one of the more unique ways of combat and just interacting with the RPG worlds, and that is the Summoner class. Now, if you don't know what the Summoner class is about, it is a class fully focused on summoning creatures, like animals and whatnot, to fight with you, like along your side, or even completely for you, taking a step back and having your animals fight for you. Now, if you don't know, my favorite game of all time, which was my greatest inspiration to this class, is Terraria. I won't go too long about why it's my favorite game, but I want to explain a little about the classes to show my inspiration for making the Summoner class in D&D. Now, in Terraria, upon starting the world, you are faced with what seems to be like just free open range of weapons, but they're each classified under four main types of damage. The fourth class in that game is the Summoner, which at first allowed you to only summon creatures to do damage while you step back and wait. But in recent years, they added a way for the Summoner class to, while not strong weapons, they gave them a few weapons to increase their Summoner's DPS to just overall make the Summoning class a more balanced feel. And when that update came out, I instantly fell in love with the class. I just could not stop playing it. I just kept doing runs over and over again playing the Summoner class, and it instantly became my favorite RPG class in total in any kind of game I play. Now, obviously, a major reason for this is because I'm a huge fan of animals. And the idea of fighting side by side with animals is just way too cool for me to pass up. Now, here's the issue though. When I first started playing D&D, which was like 3 years ago now, I wanted to make a character with the summoner idea in mind. But if you don't know already, that's not really a possibility in D&D. The closest I found was becoming a conjuration wizard, a beast master ranger, along with a few other ranger subclasses. Sorry about the dogs barking. But um those other subclasses weren't as prominent as being a summoner type of build or the Circle of Shepherds druid. I haven't spent much time looking into it, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted. I wanted everything to be about the summons, not just a subclass of this character. I wanted like every ability, all subclasses to be completely centered around the idea that I summon creatures to fight for me. And I, being the kind of kid who grew up always changing games like board games or even video games to play to add special rules or gameplay mechanics to just spice it up, instantly realized what my purpose was to make the summon class. And 2 years ago, I started doing just that. Now, the class has drastically changed since I first started. It would be dumb to ignore that fact. Um, the class was broken, the abilities were kind of wonky, and the person who played the class ended up quitting, not because of the class, just because they didn't care for D&D, which like really didn't help me with playtesting the class. But over these 2 years, I've started to really balance it out and put a lot of time and effort into it as I've now made other classes that I'll share on this channel. And with that kind of experience, it's helped me go back to Summoner and rebuild it to what it is today. So now that I'm done with explaining why I made this class, I want to review its class features. As I said, I am 100% open to constructive criticism. I actually want to hear everyone's criticism. I want to hear your thoughts, your questions. I want to hear suggestions for the class in the hopes of bettering it, because I want one day this class to be kind of on scale, or at least close to the scale of the classes in actual D&D 5e. I want it to be seen as just as high of a quality made. And with that, I need more than just my small groups of friends' opinions on the class and for other people to see how they feel with it and how to better it overall. Now, here's a big issue. I just want to point this out before I start going over the features now. I, even as a DM, I feel like I end up do a lot of things that make it more combat oriented. That is mostly because I did when I first started playing D&D, I got in because of RPGs and stuff like that, and I kind of took D&D like a combat-based game. Now over the years, I've gotten better with that with roleplay, but it still does show in some of these classes where you might think where a lot of abilities are combat oriented. And I would just like to say if you think that is the case, if you think this class could use more roleplay or out of combat abilities, if you have any suggestions, please do tell me, as I would love to hear them to overall help balance the class. Now, let's get to the actual features of the class. Okay, welcome to, first off, let's go back. I have my own wiki page I made for my classes. It includes all of my homebrew classes, along with all the mainline D&D classes, and this one gambler class I found online that's homebrew. Um, good class. My party enjoys it, so I decided to add it to this as well. But here are my classes, and today we'll be going over the summoner. I'll have the link to this in the description, of course. Okay, so now let's get into the actual class. First off the bat, a just quick little description and the fact that this class you need a wisdom score of 13 or higher to multi-class in or out. And then we have the level abilities right here. And let me scroll down a bit. As you can tell, this class is a half caster. I instead of making this a full caster class, which I actually did at first, I ended up going back and kind of making more of a half casting style, so it's not fully oriented on spells, while it can now focus on your summons, which I think is better than just doing it full casting. Right here, I have active summons. This will show you how many summons you can have currently summoned in at once, like into existence, as your summons aren't like physical real beings. They are like manifestations of your spirit and are more like spirit animals than anything. So when a summon dies, they do not stay dead. After a long rest, you usually will get your summon back, but more on that later. You can see we have all the abilities. I also have the summon path feature, which is your subclass. And now onto the stat stuff. Summoners use D6s for health. I decided to I was going to make it higher, but for a class that's fully focused on having creatures fight for you while you take more of a supporting role, it would only make sense for you to be the weakness of the class, as your summons are quite strong. Now, with that being said, the class is not the, you can be smart about it and you can still wear light to medium armor, shields, simple, even martial weapons. Actually, this class is very oriented on martial weapons. Most summoners do not use very basic weapons, they use more of the oddball ones. This class, very into wisdom and charisma. I mean, you can guess a class about animal handling. That is like the skill of all time for this class, which is why when you pick two of these skills, animal handling should always be picked, but you don't have to. That is not a forced requirement. Onto the equipment, you start with either hide or leather armor. Simple choices. For weapon wise, not as simple as a normal choice. You start with a whip, a trident, or a lance. Whip or trident are usually the main go-tos if you're gonna play this class. I just picked the trident because I thought it was cool. I thought, okay, I can imagine this weapon well. I picked the whip because it is, like, if you've ever played Terraria, that is the summoner's weapon, is a whip. I don't know why, but I kind of have now connected the two together, and I think that would be a cool weapon to see in D&D as well. And the lance is very much connected to a specific subclass that I'll get into later. For equipment, you also can pick a Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack, and finally get the Summoner's Paw, which is your spellcasting focus. Onto the level 1 abilities. At level 1, you are a summoner now. You gain the ability to summon the spirits of animals and monsters to attack with you in combat, fighting as a pair and as a team. Summon stats are that of the original animal, unless they are changed in any sort of way. A summons action counts as your bonus action instead of having its own turn, and they both can attack. So if you have multiple summons out, they can both attack during your bonus action. Or if you like, you can give your action to your summons to fight twice, as your action can be turned into your bonus action. A summon lasts until it hits 0 hit points, which it'll automatically desummon, which will then be again resummoned if you choose to after a long rest, or until the summoner decides to either swap the summon out with a different one, or just desummon the summon completely. Summoning a summon is considered an action. At level 1, you have a Divinity of Summoning Magic. For casting your magic, you have a set of spell slots that you can use from the Summoner spell list to cast your spells. Your spellcasting modifier is Wisdom, and your arcane focus for spellcasting is your Summoner's Paw. It is a little medallion that you can have on you wherever you'd like to store it. Summoners use Wisdom for spellcasting. You have the Summoner skill, which was great. It gives you a +2 Wisdom off start, but with that being said, you automatically start with a -4 in Strength. This is to better your animal handling, while at the same time kind of showing you that you are not the main attacker in this combination of classes. So I recommend you don't make your dump stat Strength unless you're really just giving up on Strength, as that -4 will hit hard. If I need to, I will nerf it. Hasn't seemed to be an issue with people. I haven't had any complaints from my players, of course, but I would like to hear more from you guys if you think that might be too extreme of a punishment or not a good enough bonus. Now, at level 1 is when you pick your subclass, your path. There are currently 5 subclasses. Now, there will be more in the future. I'll probably make videos on those when they come out, but currently we have Beast Tamer, Jouster, Soul Summon, Swarm, and Cursed Armory. These 5 I'll go more into depth at the end of the video, at least when we're done talking about the main class. They all behave differently. That is why I made it level 1, as that is where you get your summons. What kind of summons you get are from each subclass specific. So let's go into level 2 abilities. At level 2, animals tend to be kind to you, as you have the Animal Kindness ability, which just grants you advantage when taming and tending to wounded animals. So easier animal handling for you. Just thought it'd be good because this class isn't just about the spirit summons that you get. It is also that you can tame animals and have them fight for you as your summons. Of course, at these levels 4, 8, 12, 16, 19 are your ability score improvement. At level 5, you gain the Swap with Summon ability. You are able to swap places with your summon as a bonus action. This can be used a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. What this does is just as simple as it sounds. You are able to swap places yourself in your summon as a bonus action, which you can use however you want, but that is the base ability. Now at level 9, it becomes that you can cast this as a reaction. You can imagine that is a lot more useful and can get you out of a lot of situations. At level 14, the swap can now include up to 3 creatures. Yourself, summons, and now even tamed animals can be swapped. Now, you can swap around in any order you like, but up to 3 creatures are being moved around. And at level 18, the ability now includes 5 creatures, and you can even swap allies and enemies. So no one is free from your swapping. At level 7, you get the Transfer Health ability. You and your summon are now able to transfer your hit points to each other as a bonus. Okay. Transfer hit points cannot exceed your hit point maximum, by the way. This is not like a way to just tank everything into one summon and make it do every other work. It is more so of a balancing mechanic to keep both you and your summon alive. At level 11, you get the Animal's Mindset ability. All non-summon animals or monsters that you have tamed now completely listen to you regardless of the request, and gain a +2 in damage and +1 attack rolls and a +1 initiative. Just a simple ability to make non-summoned creatures and animals that you've tamed just better than they already were. And on to the capstone ability for the summoner, the level 20 ability, Master Summon. This was actually the first ability I think I came up with. It is the ability that for one monster, no matter the monster or CR of the monster or any restrictions, if you yourself, not your summons, you kill it in a one-time use of this, you completely take that summon as your own, and that monster is now yours to freely use as if it's a summon. And it is 100% loyal to you. Okay, now let's dive deeper into the subclasses. Let's start off with the most basic subclass I could have made, the Beast Tamer. So here's the path of the Beast Tamer. At level 1, you are now choosing your starter summon. You'll be choosing one summon from these list of creatures. Their stat blocks are exactly the same as they are in the Book of Monsters, so you'll be able to find the stat blocks online if needed. But these are the starter summons. You pick one of these. At level 3, you get the ability to pick another summon from the past list. So now you'll have 2 summons. At level 6, you will now be picking another summon from the average summon list, which is stronger monsters. I have a list of them right here. Of course, still very diversity in the picks. At level 10, you will be picking another summon from a previous list, making your count of summons up to 4. You can pick from the average summon list, but if you really want to, you can pick from the starter summon list. It's just up to you. At level 13, you are now picking a summon from the advanced summon list. This list has even stronger monsters, like giant sharks, killer whales, even some dinosaurs are now on here. At level 15, you will be picking another summon from a previous list. Once again, you can make it from the advanced, average, or starter. That is up to you. At level 17, you will be picking a advanced summon from the advanced summon list. These are like the strong monsters that you will be using. At level 17, this is like the peak of your monster, your summon. I mean, you have sperm whale, gelatinous cube, owl bears, winter wolves, a whole ton of dinosaurs. Definitely didn't just make a change that I forgot to do in the past. At level 19, you'll be picking 2 summons from a list that is not the advanced summon list. This is supposed to be like your ace, so you'll be picking 2 more in here to fill out your team. And after that, that should leave you with 9 summons, decent amount to choose from for each different situation that arises. Helps you pick a whole variety of different types. And that's the Beast Tamer. It is like the most basic form of a summoner. I cannot say the same for the other classes, so let's move on to the next one. On to the second subclass. This was, along with Beast Tamer, the first 2 I made back in the day, and for a really long time, these were the only 2 subclasses. This subclass actually came to me in a dream. That is not a joke. And I decided from then on I was going to make that a reality, and I did. So on to the Path of the Jouster. This subclass, if not obvious, is about summoning creatures to mount and ride into battle. This is the class why you would be picking the lance as your starter weapon, unless you really want to use a lance. If so, go for it. But at level 1, you get 2 abilities. You get the starter summon, which is now through a selection of animals you can actually ride. As I was saying, at level 1, with the jousting fighting style, you are now able to fight with this style, which means you're able to attack while mounted on a rideable creature. While in jousting form, you'll be gaining a +1 to your attack rolls and +3 to the damage rolls when you're doing your attack, only when attacking while moving on your mount. You cannot be standing still to get this special bonus. Now at level 3, you'll be picking another starter summon to ride into battle, up to you to have more diversity into your summons. At level 6, you are now choosing from the average Jouster summon list. You have a few custom horses I made, not all of them are, but you have the Speedy Horse, which is, this is just a horse with +10 feet of movement. A Trained Horse, which is +2 attack roll bonus horse. A High Horse, which gives you 2 times the jump height of a horse, which is kind of scary thinking about that. A Tanky Horse, which adds 2 AC to you when mounted. A Stunning Horse, also 2 AC does go to the horse as well. The Stunning Horse, which is a fancy and just flashy looking horse. A War Horse, Ox, Direwolf, Lion, Tiger, Hunter Shark, and Dragonfly. These are all summons that you can mount as well. These ones are the actual stat block version themselves, so no need to add anything special about that. Rewarded this really weirdly. At level 10, you are able to lunge at someone. If they succeed on a dex save, they only take half damage, and they are not impaled by your attack, which would then grant them the grapple debuff. But if they fail, they take double your lance's damage and are now grappled by your lance as you are impaling them. And you're able to carry them around on the tip of your lance, which is kind of mortifying. This is considered an action. It can be done once every long rest. At level 13, you can now pick a summon from the special Jouster summon list, which is a Flaming Horse, which is a horse that now deals a bonus of D10 fire damage. Um, Arctic Horse, which is D10 of cold damage. Thunder Horse, which is a D10 of lightning damage. A Sunken Horse, which grants you water walking and walking underwater. You now can have a polar bear, a giant elk, a brown bear, a rhino, elephant, giant shark, and killer whale. At level 15, you gain the ability Everlasting Dance. You are able to, as an action, lunge forward at twice your movement speed and hit everyone with a 15-foot chain, dealing your normal lance damage, which by chain, I mean if you can hit someone in reach, if you're 15 feet, and if there's another different creature within 15 feet, you'll hit them, and this keeps going until there's no new targets of this ability within 15 feet. After that, though, your horse must be desummoned as it can no longer move as you've overexhausted it. This action can be done once every long rest. At level 17, you are now able to pick 2 summons from the previous list, so you can have 2 new mounts to use in battle. And at level 19, for the captain ability of this subclass, you are able to pick a summon from the special Jouster summon list, which is a Pegasus, a Kelpie, a zombie horse, a unicorn, a nightmare, a mechanical steed, an owlbear, and a winter wolf. These are like the summons for your mount of all time, and these will be your ace when riding into battle at level 19. And that is the Jouster subclass. This one is very different from the rest of them, I won't lie. I think it's probably the most unique one. This is the Path of the Soul Summon. This is a subclass about, instead of having an army of summons, you have your single one summon that'll evolve over time and be as strong as you are. Your starter summon is very important because this is the creature you'll keep having as it upgrades over time. So this first choice genuinely is a very, very, very important one. At tier 1, you'll be getting a wolf or a giant wolf spider, a giant bat, a bloodhawk, panther, reef shark, or poisonous snake as your first summon. Pick wisely as you will be sticking with this for the rest of the game. Soul Bond at level 3. When you are knocked down to 0 hit points, instead of your summon being desummoned, your summon now goes into a rampage for 2 turns, dealing double damage. At level 6, you can now evolve your summon to its tier 2 form. Now, it'll be in the same order as it was above, so I can just read these new ones off. The dire wolf, the giant spider, the dire bat, the giant eagle, the dire panther, hunter shark, and poisonous hunter snake. At level 10, you will be evolving your summon to tier 3 now. The next phase is winter wolf, phase spider, with a bonus of 25 HP to balance it out a bit. The nightwing bat, the dagger hawk, the shadow panther, the zombie shark, the giant constrictor snake with plus 15 HP. That is their tier 4. Tier 3 forms. Insync Souls is the level 13 ability. You and your summon can now take each other's turn and go twice around, which means if you give your summon your turn, it can go a bonus turn and vice versa. So instead of going 2 times, it'll be able to go 3 times. At level 15, evolve your summons to its tier 4 form. This is the second highest form. The Weeping Wolf, the Hex Weaver with 20 less HP and a minus D12 to its ranged attacks. The Shadow Hunter Bat, the Dragon Hawk. I'm gonna screw up this name, but you can look it up for the stat block. I think it's the Becca, the Giant Shark, and the Mind Snare Naga. At level 17, you gain the Perfect Duo ability. You know the location of your summon at all times and vice versa. And whenever your summon lands a crit, so do you, and vice versa. So now, if at level 19, the capstone ability for the Soul Summon is its final form, the Tier 5 form. You have a Grand Wolf, a Gloomweb Great Weaver, a Bat of the Below, minus 25 HP, a Phoenix, a Displacer Beast, but it's the Revived edition I found as it's more balanced for this kind of class, so I'll add the extra bonuses in that version. And the Great White Shark with minus 1 HP, and the Greater Basilisk. This is the Soul Summon class, or subclass. On to the second to last summon subclass, you have the Path of the Swarm. This is a class fully focused out about, instead of having one or a few summons, you have a bunch of tiny ones. You have a bunch of tiny creatures that swarm up together to create a swarm entity. At level 1, you get your starter swarm, which is a 5-foot by 5-foot swarm of a tiny beast of your choice. The creature doesn't matter what it is, as they all kind of behave the same. The only difference is if it is a flying creature that you pick, it is not able to go more than 5 feet off the ground, as it's supposed to take up the equivalent of a 5 foot by 5 foot cube. Um, you don't have to summon all your swarm at once. As future levels, the swarm gets bigger and bigger. You can now separate them into mini swarms equal to the amount of summons you have at once. So your summons active is how many mini swarms you can have. And the damage of your swarm is equal to the size of the swarm in D4s. So currently it would be 5 D4s for damage. But creatures can make dex saves to dodge the swarm as you have an advantage on attacks. But any attack, the creature can use a dex save to dodge it if they roll higher than your attack roll. When the swarm attacks, it'll hit every creature within its swarm at once. The swarm is unable to be hurt by any sort of single target attack. It can only be attacked by AoE attacks that hit an entire swarm at once. Or at least a majority of it. I'll allow that. Like most of the swarm, because it will get big in the future. As long as it's an AoE attack, you are fine. The HP of the swarm is the width times 2, so it'll start at 10 HP and increase by that kind of increment. At level 3, your swarm now doubles in size 10 feet by 10 feet size with 20 HP. At level 6, you gain the ability Overwhelm. Your swarm attempts to overwhelm all creatures inside the swarm by crushing them. The creature cannot be bigger than the swarm itself. If the creature fails a con DC, then the swarm overwhelms them and can now land 3 free attacks, or decide to move the creature until it passes a strength or con DC to be set free. This can be used a number of times, equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. At level 10, you gain a massive swarm, which doubles the size again to 20 feet by 20 feet in size, with 40 HP now being its health. At level 13, you gain the ability Swarm's Shape. You can have your swarms stacked together to create any shape that they can with their size. This swarm is able to carry others, doing so would be considered a bonus action. At level 15, you have Humongous Swarm. Your swarm doubles once again to be the size of 40 feet by 40 feet with an 80 HP. At level 17, the ability Group Devour. You can force all targets in the swarm to make a con save, or they start getting consumed by the swarm as the swarm deals 25 D2 damage, explosive damage to them as they devour the creature. If the creature survives, its AC is lowered by 3, until, of course, a long rest if it's not a monster. This is used as an action once per short or long rest. And at level 19, the capstone ability for the subclass is Colossal Swarm, doubling the size to 80 feet by 80 feet, making it a truly monstrous size of a swarm. Your HP is now 160, which is terrifying. Okay, on to the next class. On to the final subclass of the summoner currently. Of course, like I said, if I make more subclasses, I will make a future video about that. But here's the path of the Cursed Armory, is instead of summoning creatures to fight with you, you have animated weapons that you are basically cursing with summoning magic to kind of bringing them alive to fight with you. At level 1, you gain the Living Weapons ability. You are able to turn up to 3 times your active summons in cursed weapons. So at level 1, it'd be 3, and it increases from there. These weapons keep their original stats and now gain HP equal to the weight of the weapon times 10. These animated weapons act like they are alive and are able to fly and float around freely, and they move equal to your movement speed. All weapons, including magical ones, can be a part of the Cursed Armory, becoming new summons. Weapons that require ammo no longer require that, as they make their own using magic. If you want to, you can give your weapons personality. I think that's fun, a fun way to go about this. That is solely up to the creator of or player of the class. So go ahead and do as you will, but I think that is a fun way to go about that. At the 3rd level, you gain the Transfer Weapons ability. You are able to transfer which items are a part of your Cursed Armory at a long rest. So if you're kind of done having a flying around sword and now you want a bow, at a long rest you can swap that around if you already have your slots taken up. A weapon leaving your armory, by the way, is no longer animated and just becomes a simple normal weapon again. At level 6, you gain the Team Fighting ability. You or others of your choice can wield your cursed weapons as if they are a normal weapon. With that being said, they are still very much alive and animated, but this grants you the ability to attack with your action and attack actions have had. your bonus action, and even granting you access to multi-weapon fighting, which means you can fight with every active weapon at the time. This can be done as an action once per short or long rest, as you'll be able to make a lot of actions that turn. At level 10, you gain the ability to get Cursed Shield, which means you can now add a shield into the armory. Doing so gives them the ability to tank a single attack for you once per shield per long rest. And this will be used as a reaction, but this can be used as a lifesaver. You can save your Cursed Shield until you really need it, blocking fatal attacks, and it's just like an overall good thing to do. Or you could just become insane and make every weapon a curse shield and never take damage again. At the 13th level, you gain Weapon Sense, which allows you to sense where your weapons are at all times, no matter the distance, and if wanted, you can share senses with them. At the 15th level, you gain the Merge Weapons ability. You can now merge two weapons of the exact same style, so being the exact same weapon, which will increase the size, the range, and adding up the damage together. So the size of the weapon will be just literally adding them up together. The range of the weapon, of course, will be adding them together. So generally, let's say two short swords are now the size of two short swords, like double, a short sword doubled in size. Its range is now 10 feet, and the damage is the damage added together, but you are decreasing the die of the damage by one. As let's say you do a 2d8, 1d8 weapons, instead of being 2d8 weapons, it'll be 2d6 weapons as the die itself goes down a tier. This can be done at a long rest freely with your weapons. At level 17, you gain the Steel Weapons ability. You can turn any weapon that you touch into one of your cursed weapons in your arsenal, if you have an open slot, of course. The newly stolen weapon will have to fight itself out of the enemy's hands to be used, as the enemies need to make a DC 18 strength save for the weapon to not fly out of their hands. This is just like the most underhanded tactic you could do, especially the weapon is magical and special to the character, but if you get away with it, you get away with it, so go for it. Be the thief you've always wanted to be. And the capstone ability for this subclass is the It's All Mine. You can release a wave of your summoning magic in a 40-foot radius centered at yourself, causing every single weapon of your choice within that radius to become part of your cursed armory for 3 turns, no matter the slots. And you can use all of them at once for a action. And finally, here are the summoner spell list. There aren't many. I need to add more. I know that. I haven't actually messed with the actual spells for this class in a while, so I do plan on adding some custom ones, along with just adding overall more spells to this list of spells. But here are the current spells in the summoner spell list. So I'm not going to really go over them individually. The only custom spell in here is Bee Swarm. This is the summoning class, and if you need, to add any comments about criticisms you have and ways to improve upon this, please do so. I would love to hear any suggestion you guys have. I want to better this class, and I want to be one that you can even bring into your own campaigns and play, and enjoy the summoning class. And I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you find this class intriguing and even wanting to play it yourself. And I hope you like my other classes I'll be showing off later in future videos. But this is me signing off, so thank you guys for watching, and if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe, as I really enjoy D&D and would love to make more videos on it. So, thank you for watching, and goodbye.